Elizabeth, and that's Dylan, and we are from Repair Cafe Odense. Also, we have some rest of the team on that table. And we're going to talk about circular economy. So first we will start with what is a repair cafe, how linear economy works, and what is a circular economy, how we could go towards that direction, how repair cafes in general in the world contribute to circular economy, and what steps we can make on our own or as a society in order to go towards that directions. At the end of the presentation, we will have also 15 minutes for questions or discussion. So yes, I'm Elizabeth. I finished my master here in Odense in STU as an environmental engineer and used to work with circular economy and electronic waste. And now I'm research assistant in Odense University working with circular economy and bio-waste. And Dylan?
Yes, I'm Dylan, and I also am associated with the university. I work at STU. I'm associate professor, and I'm educated as a mechanical engineer and a product designer.
So, what are repair cafes? They are free meeting places that people citizens from a small society, they gather up together and they learn and perform repairing. The basic thing on these societies are that we are doing the things that we do together. It started in 2009 in the Netherlands by a woman named Martina Postma, and she had a vision of how to help her society and friends inside the small scale on performing sustainability, how to help sustainability. So currently there are more than 1,500 repair cafes worldwide, and of course most of them are inside the territory of Europe. The items that we usually repair, and we see that they are continuously similar to each other, they are like clothing or furniture equipment, a lot of electrical appliances, bicycles, at least here in Denmark it's very usual, crockery, toys, but in general everything that you can imagine. So in Denmark right now we have approximately 5 to 7 active repair cafes and 2 or 3 that they are might not have every month an event, but they are performing repairs now and then. So we are a registered non-profit organization that is run only by volunteers, and this is the board of our organization. So yeah, Dylan is our president, Kesav and Britta that is down there, they are the initial co-founders. Dominika is also here today, and Eric, he's here but I don't see him in this room. Yes. So with the people that they are actually coming to our events, we're trying to fix their items, but also teach them on how they could perform repairs. If also there is something that we don't know how to fix, we also try to learn from each other and help. So why repair cafe is a good way of performing sustainability? We do throw away vast amount of stuff each year, and most of them, when you go to appliances, they are functional. So through a research project in STU, we found that 9 to 23% of electronic waste that you can find in the recycling centers, they're actually operating completely. And one more 4%, on top of that, you could actually repair them and resell them without adding additional parts or making huge repair activities. It's important because we also neglect the fact that we can repair ourselves some of the items that we own. This way you feel more attached to the product that you will repair, or you will somehow contribute or fixing it your own way. Like if you put a patch on your pair of pants, for example, it's different that you buy something ready or make it custom by yourself. There's a big complexity now inside the products that you cannot follow exactly how they are produced or the whole supply chain. So you know how it is, you know how sustainable it is to buy a product or not in comparison to another one. And of course, we all live in societies that consumerism is an everyday problem. We want the latest product of every type that we can get, and that's not the most sustainable thing that we could do. So, what we want to contribute in is the steps on how to get from a linear economy into a circular one. So first, I'm going to explain what is the linear economy that we are going through now and what are the differences with the circular that we want to step in. So in the beginning, we have mining and refining of the materials. You are getting some ore extractions from rocks or sediments, and you're trying to get the elements out of it. But for example, in order to get 100 grams of gold, you have to extract between 6,000 and 16,000 of ore, metric tons of ore. So that is very energy intensive and also very much water consuming. Then we process the raw ore in order to extract the valuable elements. And this is an image of how an extraction site looks. Usually it's left like that, at least in the dominated countries. That's a very usual picture that you can find. And it's, of course, like this kind of activities, they are not always in like under human conditions. So next one is part manufacturing and product manufacturing. So you can imagine, for example, in order to build up a car, only one. Imagine how many parts from different places in the world they're coming up together, and these parts, how they're actually composed in order to build them up. So you don't only have like the transportation of these materials or the parts, you also have the energy and the heat needed to produce this product. You have chemicals, and you of course have a huge amount of production waste before even they reach the consumers. Then you have sales and distributions to the retailer shops, and of course then this is our part, the use phase. So it's not only how you will use the product, not only how you will ride your car if it's an environmental way of driving a car, but it's also how the product is manufactured. For example, what temperature it needs to wash a cloth and be clean. That doesn't have to do with the consumer, it has to do with how the production is made. And at the end, what we do at the end of the life of the product, it depends on the legislation of the country that usually applies. So for example, in Greece, some years ago, you wouldn't have any separation of products. So you would find basically to throw your electronic products inside the normal trash bin. And that way, usually all of the waste goes to landfill. In Denmark, that you have a more organized collection system, you usually get them into the recycling centers and have mechanical treatment in order to recycle the materials. But of course, still there are cases of products exported illegally, in this case, because it's not allowed to export waste in dominated countries. And they are still like processed without any controlled way. So what we do right now in Denmark is perform recycling. We are collecting the end-of-life products in the recycling centers, and then we send them for pre-processing. Although the way that we're collecting them, for example, in open spaces or stuck them inside a cage, you are losing functionality of products that they could be reused after the collection, and of course you have loss of component functionality. And after that, the separated shredded materials, they are either sent to recycling, so you produce again new raw materials, but of course not on the same quality or grade that you would have them as raw, or they are sent for incineration or rag filling for energy recovery. And then there, of course, you have lost material in a quantity wise. So what circular economy proposes is to reuse what could be reused directly after the collection. So that implies that we should have a collection system that promotes to keep the functionality of the products after we collect them and not deteriorate them further than they already are. We should refurbish what could be refurbished. So products that could actually be reused with slight repairs or change the charger, for example, of a phone. You should perform this kind of activity. And then we have remanufacturing. So if a product is not working, you could harvest the spare parts that are functional inside the product and put them back into the production phase. So the smaller that is the loop that you see, the smaller is the environmental impact that this activity has. That's mainly because you use, the smaller that is the loop, you use less energy and resources to perform this activity. So what we do now in Denmark, at least on electrical and electronic equipment, but usually it applies with different numbers in all other kinds of waste. We collect around 70,000 metric tons of electrical and electronic waste every year, and from them only 50,000 it's the one that reaches the activities of end processing. So we have a 30% of material losses even before they will reach the recycling phase. From this that are collected, 6 to 16,000, they could actually be directly reused. So you could go to the recycling center, take them out of the cage and operate them directly. And on top of that, approximately 3,000 metric tons could be repaired and put back to the market. So within the circular economy principles is social equity and economic prosperity, as well as environmental stewardship. That means that there is space for the citizens to have different politics, to have a different way of performing economics in a society, but also to support social equality in the society that circular economy is performed.
That was my turn. Thank you. Okay, well, it's not all doom and gloom. It looks kind of bad, but I think there's a possible solution out there, and I'm going to talk a little bit about the solution. First, about Repair Cafe and how we are building up our resources so that we can sort of be part of this circular economy. So we got some really good support a couple of months ago when the Odense municipality donated this shipping container to us. And this is located in the harbor in Odense, if I said that correctly. So yeah, right in the middle of the harbor. And this used to be used by a bunch of artists, and we got access to one of the containers, and this is kind of how it looked at before. And then this is what we've done in a couple of months. We've converted it into a workshop for performing repairs. And at first we considered applying to the municipality to get a bunch of money to build our workshop, and then we thought that would be pretty stupid because we're all about doing repairs. So basically what we did was all the stuff that you see here, it was from the trash. It was basically upcycled stuff, things that were going to go to the renovation center. We rescued them. Sometimes we did some small repairs to them, but for the most part we just took stuff that was not going to be used and then built a workshop out of it. So you can see here we have an area for repairing bicycles. This part here is for repairing electronics, and then we have a place back here for repairing textiles and clothing. Yeah, we have a stereo system, we have a computer, we have all kinds of great stuff that we found that was basically very easy to repair. And I think the other cool thing that we've built is a community. So one thing that we missed before, we've been operating for over a year now, and one thing we missed before was like a meeting place, because we were always going to different locations once a month to do repairs. But we were like kind of gypsies, and now we have like a home So you can see we've kind of created, it's a good place to collect people and ideas, because the people that come here are the ones that are interested in sustainability. And then we can talk and say, oh, how do you repair this? Or, and share ideas and share information and share inspiration too, because sometimes you feel a little bit like you're the only one that cares about this stuff enough to actually do something about it. So yeah, we've sort of been able to build up a community of people that are interested in this topic as well. The future, a little bit like the other talk that we just heard, we would like to add some solar panels. We actually have an off-grid power system already. So we found a battery that was going to go into the trash, we found a power inverter, and we actually have this big switch now so we can turn from on the grid to off the grid as soon as we get some electricity going in. So we'll find some eventually, I think. So yeah, like Elspeth pointed out, this is the circular economy, and Repair Cafe is mostly working with, I would say, refurbishments, sometimes reuse because we just find things that are in good condition, and sometimes remanufacturing. Sometimes we're taking like spare parts from something and taking out all the good bits and reusing them. But yeah, that's how we are sort of in a practical sense working in this loop here. So what is our impact? Like I said, we've been operating for a little over a year now, and we've sort of broken our performance down into three main categories: our social impact, our environmental impact, and our financial impact. And of course, our main priority is to have a good environmental impact. Our social impact is we've had like 84% success rate. So out of all the things that come in, we've fixed a good portion of them. More than 3/4 of them have been fixed. We've held 11 events all around the city, different parts of the city. We had 200 visitors. We fixed, I think, maybe 250, 300 items in 1 year. Our environmental impact has been we've saved approximately 1.4 tons of CO2 in 1 year of operation. We fixed 89 bicycles and 400 kilos of clothing. And as far as profit is concerned, well, we don't really have any. We don't really have any profit, but we don't really have very much expenses either. So we've kind of been able to do all of this based on our volunteers providing their hours. That's our main sort of expense. So I think it's pretty amazing what we've been able to achieve for almost no money. So very little money coming in, but very little money coming out, and the support of the municipality with the location. Okay, so what can all of us do to sort of help be part of the circular economy? Is anybody in here working in a company where they're manufacturing things or designing things? Is there any engineers or technicians or designers in here? No? Okay. Well, this is something to keep in mind though if you're buying stuff. So companies can actually design for circular economy. So we need to have repair manuals so that we can see how to fix these items. Sometimes stuff comes into the Repair Cafe and it's a black box. We have no idea what's going on inside of it, especially older electronics. There's no documentation about how it works, so we have to start from scratch. So if companies could offer repair manuals, that would be very helpful. Also, buying repair parts and selling repair parts. A while back, I had a television that broke, and there was a part that I needed, and the part cost more than the television. It doesn't make any sense. I don't know how that's even possible. So you need to be able to get repair parts, and they need to be reasonably priced. It's also a good idea to participate in this refurbishment market. So there are some companies that take back their old items and then they upgrade them, maybe put a new hard drive in or something like this, and then you can buy a refurbished part with a warranty. So this is a good way to go. Also, it's sort of like the way that the product is designed. Like this is the Fairphone. This is a phone that was designed specifically with sustainability in mind, and it has a modular architecture. So you can see it's made up of a couple different components, and just can be opened with a screwdriver. So you can take all of the different, if a certain part of it breaks, you can very easily unplug that part and plug a new part in. So this is the kind of things that we should be buying as consumers, so that we support these kind of companies. A lot of things are glued together today, and that makes it very, very difficult to work on. A lot of the new cell phones are totally glued together, and that means that you can't really take it apart very easily. So we're not a huge fan of gluing things together. And it's also nice if you can upgrade or customize your product, because then you get a little bit more it becomes a little bit more personal to you once you're able to do that. Politicians. I know there's at least one politician in here. So what can the politicians do to help us? I think the main thing that your main task is that you need to fix the economics. Because the way it is now, it costs more to repair stuff, and that doesn't make any sense. From a sustainability standpoint, from an economic standpoint, it doesn't make any sense. And there's a lot of different ways that you can approach this. I'm not a politician, so I don't know what the best way is, but a couple of ideas is somehow we need to capture the true cost of production and remanufacturing and recycling. One approach could be a carbon tax. So anytime, for example, when the raw materials are extracted, there's quite a lot of carbon that's created. So if there's a tax on that production, then that means it would be much cheaper to refurbish products, for example. So this would lead to a circular economy, a more circular economy. And it's very important that you need to use that revenue to actually capture carbon. Sometimes countries are implementing a carbon tax and then they're just using it as an income, source of income, but you need to actually remove the carbon that's created. Another possible approach would be sort of like a more holistic accounting approach. So like we've used this people, planet, profit model for sort of capturing how well we're performing as a company, as a nonprofit organization. And I think governments should move in this direction as well. Just looking at the economic portion of it is not the whole picture. We also need to think about the economic, the environmental and the social impacts of the different things that we're doing. Some other ones, those are sort of more like long-term goals, maybe some more near-term stuff. We think it would be very useful if we opened up the renovation center so that we could extract those products that are the 9 to 23% of electronics that's working. It's ridiculous that those that go and then get shredded and then a tiny bit of energy gets taken back. So we should be able to take those products back and sell them or give them away. And I've heard that in Svenborg municipality, they've actually done this and it's worked quite well. Another thing that could be done is a tax reduction or maybe a tax deduction or a tax reduction for repairs. They've done this in Sweden. They do it through the VAT. They put down by 50% the VAT for repairs. And I know in Denmark you don't mess with VAT, it's 25%, but maybe you could do a tax deduction. So in the end of the year, if you had your laptop repaired, then you can get a tax deduction on your final income taxes. And that would help local businesses as well as the environment. In the United States, they have, within certain products, they have laws that require manufacturers to sell repair parts and to provide documentation of the product. For example, they have a motor vehicle right to repair law. And what that means is if you sell a car, you have to sell spare parts and you have to give the manual out on how to repair that car. And that's a good thing for consumers and for small businesses because if that wasn't the case, then it would basically you would have to get your car repaired wherever you bought the car. So if you bought a Ford or a Tesla, then you have to keep going back to that company. It basically creates a monopoly. And there's quite a lot of money going in to try and stop these right to repair laws because these big companies obviously have an incentive that you aren't able to repair things. So for example, Apple is spending a huge amount of money in the United States to make sure that there's no right to repair on electronics. They don't want you to be able to go anywhere to fix your iPhone. They want you to only be able to come to the Apple store, and they want to be the only ones that have the information on how to perform that repair. And it's also actually happening in Denmark as well, because Tesla is trying to stop independent repair shops from operating. So they're not telling you they won't give you the manual on how to repair a Tesla. And that's a very complicated piece of equipment. So, I think if the politicians could implement a law that's similar to this within Europe or within Denmark at least, where we have the right to repair, that would be a huge benefit to the environment and to us as consumers as well. Now, all of us, everybody in here I think is a consumer, right? Has anybody here bought something before? Yeah? Okay, probably all of us. Okay, so this is the stuff that you can do. to sort of help. Consumerism. I mean, there's a difference between being a consumer, we all need to buy stuff to live, and consumerism. Consumerism is just buying stuff because that's what you like to do and that's how you feel good about yourself. So the best thing you can do is just reduce the amount that you consume. The most sustainable phone is the one that you already have. The most sustainable laptop is the one you already have. So that's probably the, I don't know, the easiest, maybe the most challenging from a mindset point of view, but just reducing your consumption is an easy way to go. And then actually that can help you be part of the achieving the sustainable development goals. So responsible consumption and production, not just buying a whole bunch of stuff, but doing it in a responsible way. Another thing is you can take part in these loops. So like the first loop was, what was it called? Just reuse, right? So if you have something you don't need anymore, just sell it on DBA or give it away, give it to your friend. And take part in this market as well. I think we could all, there's enough stuff in Denmark, right? We don't need to buy new things. We could probably buy used stuff for the next year and we'd be perfectly fine. So use DBA and Gula Gratis and all of these. Very nice place to buy used things. Yeah, just like trading, and I think I was at a clothing exchange and I had a shirt that I didn't like anymore and I exchanged it for this one. So just trading things and giving them away is a good way to go. If you're going to buy new stuff, then you can buy things that are repairable. If you're buying a phone, you can go to iFixit website and you can find out how repairable it is. They have a rating system. Some of the new phones are very not repairable, and there's a few manufacturers that are quite repairable. So try and look at that before you buy the product. I would say back in the day, if you made a product that only lasted 2 years, people would stop buying it. And now all the electronics we buy maybe last 2-3 years, and people just throw it in the bin and they assume that that's okay. So I would say us as consumers, if we said, okay, we're not going to buy things that's only last 2 years, the companies would have to change, right? Because they have to do what we say. Apple now is a $1 trillion company because so many of us are buying their products. And if we say, okay, we're not going to buy Apple products anymore if you don't support sustainability, if you don't make your products repairable and these kind of things, they won't have $1 trillion anymore. So it's up to us as consumers. And I think the biggest part is it's the change of mindset. So instead of saying, okay, I'll order this off eBay, you say, okay, maybe I can find that or borrow it or fix something old that I have. So that's the hardest part, changing your mind. And of course, we think it's very important that you should do repairs, right? Repair Cafe. Repair your stuff, customize it, upcycle it. We can teach you, so come and see us at Repair Cafe. We have a stand over there, and we are situated in the harbor. So we can teach you. Also, the internet is a great resource. It's amazing. You can find out how to fix all kinds of things on the internet or iFixit website. And if you lack a tool, you can come and borrow it from us. We have a nice toolkit that will allow you to open all kinds of electronic things. We have sewing machines and all that good stuff. So come and we can help you with the tools that you need. And of course, you can support us, donate, or volunteer. You can even learn. As a volunteer, we have one guy, he didn't know anything about bicycles, and he joined us, and now he knows something about bicycles, right? Maybe quite a lot more than he knew before. And you can also, it's kind of cut off, but you can also start a repair cafe in your city. Is most people from Odense here? Most people are from Odense? Okay. But it would be great if this idea spread. Like in the Netherlands, it's everywhere. Every city has a repair cafe. And we have a couple across Denmark, but I think this could be the kind of idea that could be very well spread. And we can also teach you about how it was to start a repair cafe. So there's a little bit that different ways to do it. Like in Aarhus, they do it very they don't have an official nonprofit organization. They just do it, and they don't have a budget or anything. They just come and people show up, and then they fix things, and then that's it. And here we've done it a little bit more official. We have a budget and a board and all this kind of thing. So there's a lot of different ways to achieve the same thing. All right, so now you have your mission, right? Yeah. Yeah. Good. Thank you.
So while I've been trying to spread the word about repair cafe in Odense, some of the questions that I come across is how is it not how's it sustainable for other companies, local small companies?
Yes.
And I suppose your job, your mission is not to outsource any local companies, but to sort of make a better incentive for people to just think and reuse and repair and refurbish and all that.
Exactly. I mean, I see us as, we're basically there to teach people how to repair stuff. So if you want to go to a repair shop and have someone fix your phone, you should totally do that. We're not trying to displace those people. The people that come to us are the ones that want to know how do I fix my phone.
Yeah.
It's the difference between going to a restaurant and making dinner at home.
Yeah.
Some people want to make dinner at home and know how it works and know about being a chef, or being a cook at least. And we're trying to teach people how to be a cook. And some people want to go to a restaurant and have a professional do it, and then they should do that because we're not professionals. We do our best. Yeah. And so a lot of times we send people to repair shop because we say, we don't have the tools or experience. You should probably have somebody that knows what they're doing. Look at this. And there's some, I see more and more repair shops coming around.
Yeah.
Like this blue, what's it called? Blue City?
Yeah,
Blue City is a place where you can buy refurbished electronics. Yeah. So that's great.
There is also a difference between doing the repair and showing that you're actually able to perform repairs on the products that you want. So many people don't even think the option of repairing these products. And showing that you can either make a business out of it, so with profit, or only the activity of performing repairs, it's something that we should take into account.
I have one thing to add from Repair Cafe. It is about community. Some people that come are students or people who cannot afford to have repairs done by professionals because it's too expensive. So when you teach students how to repair their bikes, they can do it themselves, and then they don't need to go spend a lot of money for them, which is very valuable because they have very small budgets. And also people with families, you repair kids' toys, they can reuse, and they don't need to buy a new one. And necessarily parents will not go to repair like a small wooden toy because it doesn't make sense. But then they don't want to throw it away, and then you stock up it in your garage and just buy a new one anyway. So we help the community in this sense as well. Not outsourcing local companies because they wouldn't go there anyway.
I mean, I think Repair Cafe in a way is, not to downgrade what we're doing, but I think in a way it's sort of like, it's a Band-Aid. I mean, we're trying to bring awareness to this issue and trying to help people learn how to repair and all of this kind of thing, but it's a little bit of, it's kind of a broken system. I mean, we're just trying to fill a gap that we see.
But I guess part of it is educating people as well and changing mindsets.
Exactly.
That you don't have to throw out stuff, and that we as the consumers have the power to change things.
Absolutely.
Some people come and they have just one thing to repair, but then they stay for 3 hours till the end, so they can talk about sustainability and how to fix other things and why to do it.
I mean, just the other day we had Earth Overshoot Day. So that means we had used all of our resources for this year in August. And that's crazy. And I mean, this kind of linear system is why that's happening. Us throwing away 10 or 20% of perfectly good stuff. That's why in August we've used all of our resources already. I think we can do it much better.